Hey guys, tonight we're slipping into silk slippers and dodging Ottoman tax collectors. You stand at the edge of a moonlit Istanbul street, lanterns swaying like drunken fireflies. A coffeehouse squats ahead, its wooden shutters spilling golden light and the acidic tang of over-roasted beans. Your left sandal squeaks. That'll teach you to haggle for leather at dusk. Inside, laughter clatters against copper cups. Dice click like scorpion claws on stone. 17 men cram around low tables, their shadow puppet hands gesturing at ivory chips. A sweaty barkeeper slams a clay cup before you. Gazas for the fresh fish, he growls. The bubbly anise drink stings your nose. Fun fact: Ottoman coffeehouses birthed the original influencer culture poets, politicians, and pickpockets, all sharing one kettle. The room hushes as a shaggy-browed giant waves at an empty stool. His fingers glint with silver rings. The pinky one bears the crescent moon crest of Suleiman's navy. You sit, the seats still warm. Backgammon chess hybrid, he rasps, sliding a cherrywood board veined with gold. First moves free. His breath smells of pistachios and regret. Cool breeze slips through the latticed walls, carrying salt from the Bosphorus, and whispers of the Sultan's gambling tax collectors. Quirky tidbit: Istanbul's 16th century vice patrols used special stamps to mark tax dice. Nobody knows where 3 of those stamps went missing. Your opponent slaps down 2 bone-white pieces. Queen here moves diagonal unless you're playing Mondays after sunset. The rules make less sense than a drunk muezzin's call to prayer. Someone bumps your elbow, a server balancing 32 coffee cups on a brass tray. Historians still argue whether Europe's cafe culture leaked from places like this, or just stole the idea and added terrible pastries. A lute player plucks a tune that twists your guts. You roll an 8-sided die. It lands on 3 eyes. The giant chuckles. Beginner's luck and last warning. Shadows deepen as candle wax crawls down iron holders. Outside, a nightingale screams. Your second move sacrifices a pawn shaped like Janissary helmet. The giant's smile widens, gold tooth gleaming. 11 spectators mutter bets, their coins clinking into a scarred wooden box. 3 coffee cups later, you're down to your last silver spur. The barkeeper slides a steaming cup across the table. It leaves a trail in the Cherrywood's dust. Drink, he insists. Losses go down smoother when scalded. The giant taps the board. Double or nothing, and a question. His thumb drifts to a scarred patch of wood, a name carved and later scratched out. 8 letters. Begins with M. Your wrist hesitates. Candles gutter as a street vendor's cart screeches past, roasted chestnut scent battling the room's musk. Somewhere, a string snaps on the lute. Coins or secrets. Choose fast, dawn's creeping toward the horizon like a thief. Thick incense snakes through muttered bets. Each breath tastes like burnt sugar and bad decisions. You sink into creaking floorboards, that smell like 3 centuries of spilled Turkish coffee. Legend says the first beans arrived here by accident when Yemeni traders mixed up spice sacks. A moth-eaten tapestry overhead shows Sultan Sulayman's chess champions battling Genoese mercenaries, though historians still argue whether those games decided actual troop movements. Your thumbnail catches a splinter on the table's edge, the cherrywood's so dark it looks bleeding. Carvings ripple under your touch, crescent moons devouring pawns, lions clawing at dice. Someone claims these boards were once soaked in coffee grounds and saffron to awaken the wood's memory. You half expect it to bite. A shadow leans across the board, sleeves frayed, knuckles scarred from decade-old knife fights. Backgammon chess hybrid, he rasps, arranging marble pieces like a street hustler setting up shells. Kill a king, win his army. Lose. His chuckle rattles like empty cups. The rules smack of 16th century. Tavern logic coffeehouses back then doubled as gambling dens. And occasionally, impromptu dental clinics. True story. Smoke curls around his signal ring, a fat emerald worn on the pinky. Ottoman elites used those for secret deals, or so museum plaques claim. You trace a knight's angular face, its eye sockets hollowed by time. The piece feels heavier than it should lead core. Cheats weight. Your new friend slides forward a chipped porcelain cup. Drink. Helps the nerves. You risk a sip. Liquid fire races down your throat, proper Turkish coffee, sludge thick and bitter as a jilted bride. He grins, revealing a gold-capped canine. Good, yes. This batch is roasted over Cyprus saltpeter. Questionable. But as gaze locks go, his could pin a butterfly mid-flight. Dice clatter to your right, a cheer erupts, as some poor fool loses his belt buckle. The room breathes in layers. Cardamom musk, unwashed wool, the metallic zing of adrenaline. Your opponent's thumbnail taps an ivory rook, once part of an elephant tusk, shipped through Smyrna. Or is that merchant's boast just to inflate the price? You'll never know. He opens with a pawn sacrifice, classic sucker move. But the board hums, faint, persistent, a vibration traveling up your wrists like a plucked oud string. They say Sulayman's vizier played this game blindfolded, the man mutters, shifting a bishop sideways. Won 7 villages, lost 2 wives. Strategies blur. Chess logic falters when dice rolls decide which piece obeys you. Your queen sits diagonal to his backgammon stone, a polished obsidian disc with flecks that mimic star constellations. Historians still argue whether sultans used these games to pass coded messages. Your opponent's eyebrow twitch suggests maybe don't ask. 3 moves in, you're down 17 coins, no, wait, 18, by the eroded tally marks between you. The coffee's 4th sip hits smoother. Or perhaps your tongue's just numb. He leans back, picking at a date-stuffed pastry, clever ploy with the doubled knight for a franc. Outside, a donkey brays. Inside, your rook mutinies, lands on a black square that smells faintly of cloves. Either the incense is hallucinogenic, or the board just winked. You're too sleep-deprived to tell. The man's cup clinks against a copper ashtray. Care to wager something personal? Your pinky brushes the board's edge again. The wood pulses warmer now. Under the grime and resin, something glints, a hairline crack revealing gold leaf, a craftsman's signature, or just trapped candlelight playing tricks. A drunk stumbles into your table, splashing your sleeve with Reiki. The man hisses a curse involving scorpions and the intruder's ancestors. By the time order's restored, your dice cup has migrated. His toenail taps your boot. You were saying, the air itself feels sticky, like the room's breathing through damp velvet. You make a defensive play learned from a dog-eared manual in Vienna. But here, strategy bends like baklava dough. His bishop hops 2 tiles, then 3, a move defying both chess and sanity. Someone lights a fresh taper. Shadows stretch the carvings into grasping fingers. That gold-capped tooth gleams. See the lion's paw, he murmurs, pointing to a chipped motif. Press it, if you dare. You hesitate. Ottoman pulp tailies worn about boards swallowing hands. But the wood thrums against your palm, a heartbeat not your own. Somewhere, a lute string snaps. The gambler's smile widens. The paw depresses with a click. The board tilts just slightly. Marble pieces slide into new formations. Your remaining pawns now guard a previously invisible node. A tiny iron ring set into the wood. Ah, the man claps, sending ash swirling. The karak, Ein, the game's blind eye. His finger circles the ring. Old players used these to signal coups. Lift it if you trust the board's memory. Your earlobe itches that Reiki spill, now drying tacky. The candle gutters. Somewhere, a woman laughs like shattered crystal. The ring resists, then rises with a sigh. Underneath, a honeycomb pattern etched in silver. Byzantine, Mamluk. Your opponent's grin turns feral. Now we play. Coffee steam spirals between you, a miniature cyclone over the transformed board. He tosses the dice. They land, showing a 5 and a staring eye. The eye on the die glints wetly carved from ox bone and inlaid with lapis lazuli. Your opponent sucks his teeth. 5 and Allah's watchful gaze. Allah, the pre-Ottoman goddess of dice, or so drunken scholars claim after too many Reiki toasts. His calloused palm slaps the table. Your wager? You count 7 remaining coins. He scoffs. Not metal. 10 memories, or your tongue stays tied till sunrise. Janissaries once made similar bargains in these rooms. Silence traded for debts erased by dawn. The air thickens with myrrh and anticipation. A backgammon stone slips sideways despite untouched hands. His sleeve inches up, revealing script tattoos. Palace shorthand from Suleiman's era. Or just tavern doodles. Historians still argue whether gaming houses served as spy nests for viziers. Your fingernail finds the board's iron ring again. Cold, unyielding. The marble night before you sweats resin. Or is that your palm? 17 moves, he croons, rotating a rook etched with Ottoman naval flags. That's how long maimed Ai took to sack Constantinople's walls. Let's see your strategy. His breath carries the tang of salted lemons, a Genoese tactic to freshen plague-rotten gums. You drag your bishop forward. It trembles like a spooked stallion. Dice roll. A 3. His catapult piece leaps 2 tiles, then topples your pawn. The crowd groans. Someone drops a copper tray, clang echoing like a muezzin's first call. Coffee sludge at your cup's bottom swirls into a lazy whirlpool. You swear it winks. His pinky, adorned with that emerald lump, taps the lion paw carving. Pressed it once in Edirne, woke up in Damascus. A chuckle. With someone else's teeth, you fake a laugh. Nervous. Stupid. He's testing your tells. Ottoman gamblers supposedly trained by watching interrogators break prisoners. True. Who knows? The board's edges blur. Smoke sculpts harem girls dancing above the pieces. You blink. They're just candle flame shadows. His weathered hand fans 10 fingers. Memories. Now. Choice. Surrender childhood summers in Belgrade. That night in Thessaloniki harbor. Your throat tightens. A waiter slams down fresh cups. Clay still hot from the fire. Fermented cherry pits scent the steam. For courage, your opponent purrs. Or cowardice. He's all edges, jagged nose, filed down molars, shoulders sharp enough to gut a fish. You sip. Liquid asphalt with a honeyed afterburn. The dice shiver in your fist. Your last pawn guards a tile marked with faded crimson, dyed with crushed cochineal beetles maybe. Or blood. He leans close. They say the first to bleed chooses the weapon. His bishop pounces. Your knight intercepts, metal shrieking against marble. The crowd inhales as one. 23 faces press closer, merchants, mercenaries. A woman whose henna'd hands hide brass knuckles. Your coffee cup cracks. A hairline fracture snaking toward the rim. 8 memories left, he growls. Lightning illuminates his acne-cratered cheeks. Fat raindrops pummel the roof. Strangely, the board stays dry. Carvings drink the moisture, cherrywood swelling like a parched throat. That iron ring now protrudes, a nail begging to be pulled. You recount a memory, age 9, stealing apricots from a Bulgar grocer. The gambler's nostrils flare. Weak. 5 more. Next, your first kiss behind a Thessaloniki tannery. He yawns. Your hands sweat. The third memory, your mother's jade hairpin sinking into the Bosphorus, stops him. He tilts his head vulture-like. Grief has weight. His bishop retreats. The storm redoubles its fury. A drunk snores against the wall, fist clenched around ivory dice. Goat knuckles repurposed after some unlucky feast. Your remaining pawn quivers. You nudge it forward into a black square humming like a beehive. The board bucks. Pieces scatter. Gasps erupt. His emerald ring catches firelight, or is it glowing? Rain hammers a frantic rhythm. He slams his cup. Cheat, you loaded the dice. You counter. A guess. His eyelid twitches. Got him. A blade flashes beneath the table, ceremonial Kanjari from Muscat. 10 coins, or your silence. The steel's edge reflects your widened pupils. Janissaries carried similar daggers until sultans banned them for being too theatrical. Your knee knocks the board, two pieces dive into your lap, a knight, and something mammalian, a wolf, a djinn. The crowd melts away cowards or conspirators. His free hand gropes for the overturned bishop. You stomp his pinky. Something cracks. He howls. The blade quivers. 16. Someone shouts. You freeze. He freezes. The blade freezes. 16th century Istanbul curfew laws echo in your skull. After 16 drumbeats, all gaming stops. Violators lose their thumbs. The barkeeper's son counts aloud. 14, 15, his knife hand spasms. Your heel grinds his damaged finger into the floorboards. 16. Silence. The gambler exhales rotten figs and defeat. His blade retracts. Chest heaving, you pocket the fallen pieces. The crowd returns like nothing happened. He spits. Next round, we play for real. Your coffee's gone cold. The board lies appended, its underbelly carved with bone-white runes. You recognize one symbol, the same as your mother's lost hairpin. Thunder rattles the shutters. The gambler nurses his hand, cursing in a language dead for 600 years. Lightning strikes. For half a heartbeat, the runes burn blue. The crimson scroll hits the table with a wet slap thicker than parchment, stiffer than skin. Your opponent's thumbnail splits the wax seal, chrysanthemum patterned, same as maimed Ii's funeral shroud. Unfurling, it reveals rules scrawled in jagged script. Crimson ink, reserved for sultan's decrees, coagulates in the grooves. Kings fall sideways here, he mutters, adjusting a rook crowned with raven feathers. You point to a glyph near the margin, identical to your mother's hairpin. He slaps your finger away. Ottoman chess meets Byzantine hazard, and blood meets luck. His breath smells different now, charcoal and preserved limes. Janissaries stored citrus under armor to mask battlefield stench. A historical fact you'd rather not recall. Lightning blanches the room. The parchment's edge flutters. Though no windows open, rules shift under your gaze. One moment, Arabic numerals, next Greek letters. A six-pointed star swims into focus. Historians still argue whether Sabbatai Zevi's followers smuggled Kabbalah symbols into gaming dens. You rub your eyes, sacrifice a pawn, he hisses, or name your seventh memory. The crowds shifted, fewer merchants, more hollow-cheeked youths clutching amber worry beads. His bishop, a twisted thing with lapis-lidded eyes, creeps toward your remaining knight. You hesitate. A waiter deposits 2 clay thimbles of Reiki. The licorice stink makes your sinuses burn. For clarity, your opponent croons. He doesn't drink. You don't either. Ottoman Coffeehouse code, liquor offered, but rarely consumed, a test of trust. Fail, and you're marked as either reckless or rude. Your pinky brushes the scroll. The ink smears, warm, fresh. His grin widens. Scared of a little claret, you wipe red-tipped fingers on your sash. 17th century Anatolian dyers used crushed cochineal beetles for crimson. This stains darker, board itself rebels. Chess squares warp into backgammon triangles, Cherrywood groaning like a ship's hull. Your knight topples. He captures it with a flick. 5 memories remain. Outside, thunder growls. Rain sluices down the roof's copper gutters. A sound Janissaries, mimicked to mask interrogation screams. You recount stealing figs from a Tunisian envoy's horse. He snorts. Child's play. Next, bribing a Venetian sailmaker with forged ducats. His tongue clicks disapproval. The third memory, your sister's laughter echoing through Eddern's silk market, stops him cold. Ah, his knuckle traces the scroll's star symbol. We'll keep that one. The board snaps back to chess mode. Your coffee, stone cold now, ripples. Shadows coil around the pieces. That bishop's eyes glow faintly. You blink, gone. He slams down a die carved with Cyrillic numerals. 4, he declares without looking. Kings move diagonally. Before you protest, his regal piece slides sideways, toppling your castle. The crowd gasps. A backgammon chip rolls off the table and keeps rolling. Nobody retrieves it. You spot henned fingers slipping something into the barkeep's palm. Brass knuckles glint. The woman from earlier, hooded now, nods at your opponent. Trap. Test. Ottoman gaming houses supposedly fronted rebellion plots. Scholarly debate rages over which sultans tolerated this. Your thumb finds the board's iron ring again. Twisting temperatures, scorching, then glacial. His rook advances. Check. The word hangs like a scimitar mid-swing. You study the board. 2 exits. Flee through a compromised pawn line or sacrifice your queen. Neither appeals. The scroll's edge trembles. New symbols emerge, serpents swallowing their tails, crescent moons bisected by swords. Feeling generous, he produces a honey-dipped fig, Suleiman's favorite pre-battle snack. You decline. He shrugs, devouring it in one bite. A seed crunches between his molars. 16th move. My favorite number. Your nape prickles. 16th century laws flood back curfews, thumb amputations, silk tariffs. The ringing in your ears syncs with distant thunder. His queen, a marble monstrosity with 6 arms, twitches. Hallucination. You hope. Lightning cracks. The scroll levitates momentarily, inked serpents squirm. His smile turns feral. They hunger. You lurch back. Stool legs screech against floorboards. Hooded figures inch closer. The barkeep polishes a cup, too vigorously. Your hand dives into your coin purse. 7 remaining. He sneers. Not metal, memories. The Reiki's licorice stench intensifies. You mutter a 4th recollection, a stormy night anchoring off Crete, masts snapping like kindling. He yawns. The 5th memory escapes unbidden, your mother's voice, singing Bosnian lullabies. His eyes narrow. That's 2. The board shudders. Pieces reset to their original squares. Cheater's gambit. Divine intervention. Ottoman chronicles mention Alice dice, redirecting unjust games. You doubt divinities involved here. He slaps the table. Enough. Ink bleeds through the parchment, now crimson tendrils mapping the wood grain. Your castle piece sweats resin. Strange, since marble doesn't perspire. The scroll's edge brushes your wrist. Symbols burrow into skin, hot needles tattooing secrets. You recoil. He laughs a dry sound, like bones rattling in a cup. New rule. Kings flee, queens negotiate, pawns ascend. The six-armed queen pirouettes. Your last knight shields its face. A die rolls itself, tooth clicking across Cherrywood. 3 hisses a voice that isn't his. The woman with brass knuckles. The hood shifts. Too many teeth in that smile. Your opponent pales. Thunder drowns the room. The iron ring burns your palm. It's spinning now, unscrewing itself. Board runes pulse in time with the storm. You grip the scroll. Crimson ink licks your fingers, warm, hungry. Choose, he snarls, but the command lacks conviction. Shadows congeal around his throat. That queen's extra arms flex. The die settles. 5 pips glow no, 6 no, 9. You slam your remaining coins onto the serpent symbol. Blood pays debts better than memories. His jaw clenches a first. The room stills. Rain drums 3 erratic rhythms. The scroll curls shut with a sigh. His bishop's eyes dim. Brass knuckles retreat under a sleeve. The barkeep stops polishing. Done, he spits. Coins vanish into his sash. The board resets. Dawn's first gray fingers prod the shutters. Your opponent melts into the crowd. No farewell, no glance back. The scroll remains. You reach for it, leave that. The barkeep's blade, a curved jambia, now taps the wood. Rules have weight. His thumb brushes the iron ring. It stops spinning. You stand. Knees crack like walnut shells. The woman whispers as you pass. Next time, bet the fig memory. Her breath reeks of fermented cherries. Outside, storm-soaked air slaps your face. Your coin purse feels lighter. Left palm itches, crimson symbols already fading. Somewhere inside, the scroll hisses against wet ink. A donkey brays in the distance, or maybe it's laughter. Your pawn scrapes forward, 1 polished square. The click echoes louder than it should. Across the table, your opponent's smirk tightens. Double the wager. His fingertip taps twin gold coins. They bear Murad IV's scowling profile. Same as every coin since the temperance Sultan banned coffeehouses. Historians credit him with shutting down 600 venues. You wonder how many just moved underground. The crowd presses closer, cardamom breath and damp wool. A waiter refills your cup. Steam coils upward, then twists. 2 serpentine tendrils spiral into the lantern light. You blink. The vapors hold shape, hooded eyes, flickering tongues. Ottoman mystics claimed coffee steam divined futures. You're pretty sure this isn't normal. Well, he flips a die, carved from what looks like mastodon ivory. 6 pips glow faintly. Gamblers once believed extinct animal bones brought luck. Modern scholars dismiss this, but that die's warmer than room temperature. You nod. Coins clink. Your rook trembles as you move it. His bishop responds quick as a scorpion strike. 6-armed queen leans forward, marble joints creaking. The crowd murmurs. Someone coughs. A backgammon chip slides off the table again. Nobody breathes as it spins and lands on edge. He chuckles. An omen. His pinky traces the board's edge, leaving a faint red smear. 17th century stain removal manuals recommended lemon and salt for cherrywood. You doubt that work here. The serpent steam darts toward your face, hot mist hissing in your ear. Focus, you mutter, swatting vapor. Laughter ripples through the onlookers. A girl offers pistachios from a silk pouch. You decline. Ottoman gaming etiquette's clear. Never eat mid-match. Poisoned snacks allegedly toppled 3 viziers. Your knight leaps, a calculated risk. His pawn intercepts with a metallic clack. The piece shouldn't weigh enough for that sound. You lean closer. Is that a gear glinting inside the obsidian base? Historians still argue whether automaton chessmen existed pre-Vakansen. The answer licks your face in steam form. He slams a malachite king onto a contested square. Check. Your remaining bishop flinches. Literally. You swear its onyx eyes widen. The coffee serpent now coils around your wrist, heatless, but insistent. A joke forms, then dies. Humor's thin-blooded here. 3 moves later, you're down to a queen and 7 pawns. His foot taps out a war drum rhythm. Janissary cadence. Too quick. Your cup's empty, but steam still rises, now forming a scaled canopy overhead. The woman with brass knuckles whispers to her companion, "Look, the Aegean play." You freeze. That gambit destroyed Genoese traders in 1591. 7 ships sunk over a single chess match. How do you? She smirks. Your queen glares up at you, arms crossed. Marble shouldn't sigh either. A die rolls. Your opponent claims it shows 5. You see 9 pips. The crowd's divided murmurs of Maghrebi trickery and poor lighting. He shrugs. Argue with the bones. Dawn creeps closer. Your coffee serpent flicks its tongue at the disputed die, then dissolves. You sacrifice a pawn to break his formation. Blood. No, the piece cracks open, leaking saffron-scented resin. He collects the golden droplets in a thimble for the next game. Someone retches. The crowd parts for a waiter delivering fresh cups, steam already twisting into twin adders. Your next move traps his rook. He purples, then laughs. Finally, sport. The imprisoned piece rattles, etching grooves into the board. Cherrywood shavings curl upward like rose petals. A trick with catgut strings. You don't care. Victory's a fever in your veins. The coffee serpent whispers again, this time in your mother's voice. Queen to Delta 4. You obey before doubting. His king staggers back, crown chipping. Gasps. Applause. The serpent winks out. Clever, he steeples ink-stained fingers. But tonight's game, tonight favors the double-backed beast. His remaining bishop unfolds, literally, into a 2-headed jackal. The crowd recoils. You cough a half-laugh. Low trick. Mamluk puppeteers did better. Smoke stings your eyes, incense, or board magic. The jackal sniffs your queen, then whimpers. Diesels. Didn't think so. Your opponent's grin slips. You press the advantage. As your queen delivers checkmate, the board erupts in sapphire flames. Cold ones, his pieces melt waxy, smelling of myrrh. The crowd scatters. Brass-knuckle woman lingers. Not bad, she says, but wait till you meet his brother. He throws his sash over the smoldering remains. Another game. Dawn stains the windows blood wine red. You shake your head. The bet's tripled now, and your coffee's gone cold. Your fingers linger on the board's edge, still warm from the last game. Cherrywood grain writhes like stirred ink. A knot becomes an eye, then a map of alleyways. You jerk back. Someone chuckles, wet and phlegmy. The brass-knuckle woman nods at the board. Olden empires built this. Her teeth gleam oddly sharp. Byzantium once ruled these lands. Their hippodromes held chariot races and covert treaties. You trace the wood's new ridges, Constantinople's sewer maps. Too precise for coincidence. Play or pray. She flicks a die. It bounces off a pawn's head, the piece yelps. Ottoman toy makers hid animal bladders in dolls for crude sounds. You doubt that's the case here. The board hums beneath your palm, now vibrating in Ottoman military codes. Tap once for infantry, twice for cannons. A bearded man leans in reeking of cured meats. Suleiman's viziers encrypted messages in game boards. He winks. Or was Itrasype scrolls? Historians still argue whether the Sublime Port used gaming tools as spycraft. The wood shudders, revealing a hidden compartment under the king's square. You probe it. A folded vellum scrap sticks to your thumb. Unfurl it. A sketch of a pigeon. Squint. Details resolve, wings marked with numerals. Tiny Sultan's crest. Carrier birds carried bets between 16th century gambling dens. Once, this bird's eyes seem to track your face. Prophecy or prank, she snorts. Turn. The wood grain shifts again, paths branching into Arasta Bazaar's chaos. Your rook shivers. You nudge it forward. It resists. Since when do chessmen have opinions? Stubborn, she tuts, just like the wood carvers of Bursa. True story. Bursa artisans once smuggled protest notes in wooden clogs. Authorities never checked souls. You try lifting the rook. It weighs 12 pounds now. Your wrist protests. The compartment snaps shut, taking your vellum pigeon hostage. A server drops a fresh demitasse. No steam yet. Good. Last thing you need is another advice-dispensing serpent. The rook relents screeching across the board. New carvings bloom in its wake. Siege towers, Janissary caps, a grinning Stambulite with 3 hands. She clucks her tongue. I told you it's sentient. My cousin won a board in Adna, burnt his house down. Anadolu legends speak of vengeful game boards hexing poor losers. You file that under reasons to stop bluffing. Your move opens a diagonal. Her bishop pales. Literally, ivory whitening to bone. 16th century masters used vinegar-soaked cloths to bleach pieces. This feels different. The board gulps like a parched throat. Crimson sap oozes from pawn stations. She prods the liquid. Pomegranate dye or rhubarb poison. Ottomans loved both. The pool spreads, forming a tiny black sea. Minuscule ships battle near the coast. A fungal smell rises. You've read about hallucinogenic resins in Sufi rituals. Coincidence? Your coffee arrives steamless per your frantic hand signals. The rook advances, splashing through the sapsea. Her knight responds, then melts. Cheater, she barks. The crowd mutters. Clockwork gears don't cheat. You point at the knight's soggy remains. Gears glisten. Vaucanson's duck hadn't even hatched yet when Ottomans tinkered with automata. She flips the table. It doesn't budge. The board's roots now twist into the floorboards. Maps flare across the ceiling. Maimed Ai's siege lines redrawn as checkmate patterns. Constantinople falls again in scented smoke. Fine. She slaps down a dagger, hilt encrusted with what might be narwhal teeth. Viking traders brought those to Antioch's markets. Probably. Final move. Then we duel. Your remaining pawn quakes, the woodgrain parts showing a tunnel beneath the board. Escape or trap. The dagger's edge reflects your narrowed eyes. Outside, a nightingale shrieks. 316 Ottoman poems mention that sound. None describe this kind of sweat. You push the pawn. It topples into the tunnel, clangs echoing. A hidden bell. The board flips itself, revealing a lapis lazuli underbelly. Carved constellations wink. One matches your birth chart. How cozy. Saints and sinners, she breathes. The dagger droops. You've woke the sky map. Even I wouldn't. Her retreating boots leave plum-colored stains. The crowd dissolves like sugar in raki. Alone now, except for the bearded man. He licks the board's edge. Ah, 1578. Wet summer, his tongue swells. And tamarind. Ottoman dendrochronologists exist. You refuse to believe this. The lapis constellations blur. Stars become dice, rolling soundlessly. Coffee steam finally rises, forming a hollow-eyed figure. It points northwest. A joke about celestial baristas dies unsaid. Dawn glows through the shutters. The board resets, pieces marching back into place. Except your sacrificed pawn. It winks from the tunnel's mouth, gripping a pearl the size of a hazelnut. Victory. Maybe. You pocket the pearl, cold as a vizier's heart. Behind you, the board whispers a lullaby in forgotten Greek. Byzantium's last lullaby. The floor creaks, a final threat or invitation. You choose the door. The door slams behind you, echo bouncing off cobblestones. Yet, there's cherrywood under your boots. You stare down. The game board's grain spreads across the street, swallowing cobblestones like sugar cubes. A drunk leans against a wall, now fused with pawn-shaped bricks. Welcome back, rumbles the wall. 16th century Istanbul had Sarshi game boards built into markets. Merchants bet spices on giant chess matches. This feels bigger. A stray cat pounces on a knight-shaped shadow, hisses when it resists. Ottoman zoos kept chess-playing monkeys. You're jealous of their ignorance. The wood pulses underfoot. A fissure splits the street, revealing a staircase glowing with oil lamps. smells like burnt cardamom. Olden empires built this, whispers the wall. Its mortar crumbles into hieroglyphs. You step down, 16th century. Try 6th. Byzantines buried their strategy maps under chariot arenas, or so merchant ledgers claimed. Your boot squelches into something sticky. A. Flagstone tar. B. Dragon saliva. C. Marwan I's famous apricot jam. Historians still argue whether the Umayyad Caliph actually invented preserve warfare. The walls close in carved with snarling hounds. Seljuk Turks used hound motifs to ward off jinn. These ones drool molten amber. You sidestep a puddle, it solidifies into a dice cube. Snake eyes. Naturally, ahead a circular chamber. The board's center. 12 ivory chairs float, each occupied by a carved figure. Suleiman's beard they're moving. One scratches its limestone nose. Another adjusts a miniature turban. Your grandmother's tales of Anatolian golems feel less crazy now. The heavy-set man from earlier materializes, smelling of rosewater and regret. Took you long enough. He points to an empty seat. Its armrests are human ribs. You decline politely. Suit yourself. He snaps. The chairs erupt into starlings. Wings scatter parchment scraps. You catch one, a love poem in chess notation. Rook to c4, heart to ruins. Ottomans really knew romance. The floor ripples, woodgrain rearranging into a ship's hull. A ghostly galley crew beckons. Too late, you're knee-deep in a phantom Aegean. Salt spray smacks your lips. Maimed I's navy once hid trebuchets in fishing boats. This feels familiar. A marble queen rises from the waves, crowned with octopus tentacles. Her scepter stabs the water. The sea drains, leaving you in a bone-dry library. Shelves stretch endlessly, stacked with dice-bound codices. A leather book creaks open. Halt, player. The text swirls into Ottoman Turkish. The whispering board demands 3 truths. You roll your eyes. Therapy with inanimate objects wasn't on tonight's agenda. First truth, I cheated in the 3rd round. The book slams shut, drawing blood from your fingertip. A fair trade. Second truth, I kept the pearl. The walls shudder. A hidden compartment pops open, revealing a mouse skeleton clutching a sapphire. Classic Ottoman mihrab design. You pocket the gem. Priorities. Third truth. Silence stretches. The book growls, fine. I don't know how to leave. The library dissolves into a moonlit courtyard. Tables sprawl, each hosting a spectral game. A child's laugh tinkles. You blink, and she's there, 5 years old, barefoot, moving pieces with grease-stained fingers. Her board lacks carvings, but the wood hums the same dirge. Selim I's daughter reportedly beat envoys at chess while nursing a pet lynx. You pity the envoys. The girl looks up. Her eyes are lapis voids. Stories say the board remembers every game. She flicks a pawn. It morphs into a sparrow. But who remembers it? Wind howls. The courtyard fractures into 1,000 shards. Each shard reflects a different era. Janissaries rolling dice on cannonballs, Victorian travelers losing rubies, a pixelated avatar glitching near a USB port. You gag. Future-adjacent nonsense. The heavy-set man reappears missing a tooth. Round 2. He gestures to a table where coffee boils inside a bishop. You decline again. He shrugs, drinks the bishop. Your pocket vibrates. The pearl and sapphire fuse, forming a scarab. It crawls up your arm, whispering in Coptic. You shake it off. It explodes into fireflies. One lands on your earlobe. Walls have ears, it buzzes. Boards have agendas. A shadow detaches from the ceiling, a figure cloaked in chainmail. It points north. Maps flood your mind. Caravan routes, storm cellars. A bakery marked play here. Ottoman intelligence operatives used bakeries as drop points. Worth a croissant detour. The scarab reborn as fireflies, spells run in midair. You pivot, find a door shaped like a rook. Kick it open. Cold air slaps your face. Dawn, already. The board sighs behind you, woodgrain healing smooth as skin. You exit into an alley, where a stray cat bats at the pearl sapphire scarab. It winks. The cat hisses. Somewhere, a lute plays a lullaby. 18th century Chinese letter, music, or tinnitus. You walk faster, 3 steps, and the cobblestones click like rolling dice. 3 steps, and the cobblestones click like rolling dice. The alley dead ends at a crumbling hammam, steam curling through cracked tiles. A silver-haired man in moth-eaten silk lounges by the entrance. His teacup overflows with rain. Or is that brandy? Suleiman's favorite sapphire, he croaks, flashing a ring. Its facets catch lantern light like prison break flares. 16th century nobles dunked jewels in wine as truth serums. You're suddenly thirsty. He slams the ring onto a damp table. Win and name your price. Ottoman mercenaries once wagered cities over backgammon. You cough, hoping he's not literal. The rain drums faster. Your pulse matches it. Annoying. The board between you isn't cherrywood, it's hammered copper. Scratched symbols glow faintly. Hittite, Phrygian. You poke a hexagon. They carved these with meteorite blades, he says. Archaeologists found obsidian dice in Saddle Huruk trash pits. You resist asking if he's 7,500 years old. His first move, a lion-shaped pawn, leaps 3 spaces. Heat ripples off the metal. Check isn't a threat here, he purrs. It's an invitation. The pawn roars. You counter with a crescent moon piece. It wobbles, spilling ink across the board. The stain forms a map of the Marmara Sea. Maim's ghost fleet shivers beneath the waves. Historians still argue whether the conqueror poisoned his vizier over a bad bet. The man flicks a scarab off his sleeve. Irrelevant. The man owed 12 camels. The scarab burrows into the table. Golden roots erupt, twisting into a miniature Topkapi palace. Janissaries march the parapets, straight into a spider web. The man sighs. Metaphors lack subtlety tonight. Your next move cracks the board. A fissure reveals gears beneath, spinning faster as rain soaks your collar. 16th century automata powered Hagia Sophia's clock. This feels less holy. He slides forward a bishop with no face. Your grandmother's porcelain thimble, 3 sheep. That kiss behind Eddern's olive press. Your jaw clenches. Ottoman intelligence recruited cafe gossips. You're overpaying for almonds, lightning flashes, briefly turning his shadow into a dozen grasping hands. The board recites a math problem in Old Greek. You answer wrong on purpose. The sapphire ring sprouts teeth. Cheat again, it hisses, and digest slowly. Genghis Khan's ambassadors used gem-encrusted threats. You miss simple beheadings. Rain pools around your ankles. Fish dart past, ghost carp from the Golden Horn. Their gills filter coffee grounds. The man nods at your hesitation. Drown or dance. You sacrifice a rook. The piece shatters, releasing the smell of burnt melon. A child's laugh echoes. The man's grin falters. Ah, she's watching. 3 fireflies spiral from his nostrils. They spell liar in midair before exploding. Your earlobe tingles, the same spot from the library. Coincidence? Unlikely. The board flips. You're standing on the ceiling now, hair dripping upward. Ottoman graffiti stains the rafters. Hussein owes Kemal 20 acts. Plus interest, after 4 centuries. His final piece, a crowned hair, nibbles your sleeve. The wager stands. The ring's glow intensifies. Your tongue feels heavy. Name your price, he repeats, soft as a snake shedding. Rain stops. Your heartbeat goes rogue. 7 years bad luck, a divorce. The safe answer, a door, he laughs, a dry leaf sound. The board vomits a rusted key. It fits no lock you've ever seen. But the hare's eyes gleam like victory. The key burns cold, a paradox your palm can't resolve. Lanterns gutter as you turn it over. Tarnish flakes away, revealing Seljuk engravings. Ottoman locksmiths once booby-trapped chests with scorpion venom. You consider licking it. Your opponent snaps ivory dice. Their clatter echoes through centuries. 1 die rolls off the table. It bounces, then rolls back uphill. Water drips upward now, defying the laws of physics and decent housekeeping. The crowned hair twitches. Its marble pupils track your trembling hand. 16th century sultans kept mechanical animals that served sherbet. This one serves existential dread. Your move, murmurs the silver-haired man. His shadow stretches too long, fingertips brushing a coffee urn across the room. You slide a pawn forward. It hisses and slides back. Gasps rise like steam. The piece moves again alone, leaping onto the board's center. Carved ibex horns sprout from its head. Historians still argue whether Suleiman the Magnificent died of natural causes. Your money's on royal backstab. Incense smoke thickens. Shapes emerge. A hawk-eyed woman grinding coffee. A scribe etching ledgers in henna. Your opponent's sleeve rides up. Ink stains web his forearm, the mark of Janissary accountants. They used crushed lapis and whispered rumors. The board hums. Your rook vibrates, then scuttles sideways like a crab. Chess evolves, the man chuckles. Ottoman ambassadors once bribed Mongol diplomats with chess-playing camels. You're starting to believe it. You reach for the hair it bites. Blood beads ruby dark. 17th century dye makers prized Ottoman blood ink. The drop spreads, forming a tiny map of Venice. Ominous, curious about the rules. His breath smells of burnt cardamom, a queen piece upside your pawn, merging them into a faceless knight. The crowd murmurs. Someone drops a cup, it freezes mid-shatter. Lightning flashes. For one blink, you see his true face, a mosaic of shifting tiles. Alexandrian glassworkers made palace eyes that changed color. None blinked without permission. The board warps. Wood grain becomes grasping fingers. You smack a bishop, it whimpers. They learn, he warns. Topkapi Palace's clocks ran backward during Ramadan. Time feels similarly negotiable here. Your next move triggers a minor earthquake. The key levitates, stabbing the board's edge. Copper pools where it pierced. Molten metal hisses. Choose. Ottoman metallurgists trapped gin in samovars. This feels louder. The man leans close. Even viziers kneel to probability. His scarf unravels, revealing a tattooed game grid across his throat. You recognize the pattern. Lyre strings from a Mycenaean dig. How personal. The hair convulses. Ivory splits. Out crawls a scarab made of teeth. It gnaws your sleeve. Maimed eyes court once ate live insects for luck. You decline the invitation. A gong sounds from where, unknown, pieces rearrange themselves, mirroring Istanbul's street plan. The rook becomes Galata Tower, weeping amber. Your remaining pawns turn into scowling fishmongers. Historians adore predictable endings. The man flicks a finger. Your earlobe bleeds again, matching the board's crimson squares. 16th century dye recipes required rooster blood. You're overdressed for this sacrifice. Shadows coil around your wrist. They whisper in Karamanli Turkish, a dead dialect of dentals and threat. Your finger moves without consent, nudging the hair toward Damascus Gate. The crowd inhales. Lamplight flares, then dies. In the dark, something cold grips your hand. Organic. Your pulse quickens, but when flames return, your fingers are clean. The man's hands drip fresh ink. Gasps slice through coffee-scented air. The scarab-turned Damascus crumbles to dust. Your key glows, edges blurring into hookah smoke. Ottoman spies used smoke signals encrypted with poetry. You recite Rumi under your breath. The board convulses. Copper tiles flip, exposing a spiderweb of gears. A trapped queen beats her wings. Realization dawns. This isn't chess. Not really. Byzantine emperors played chariot races on game boards. Older blood, his smirk returns. All games are thefts. He slides forward a tile that mirrors your face if you'd aged 70 years. Crow's feet deep as saber cuts. Charming. Rain resumes, falling upward into infinite black. Droplets hang like flawed pearls. One bursts against your cheek, whispering, "Kiss the board and live." You'd sooner French kiss a scorpion. The key vibrates, unlocking nothing visible. A funeral march echoes. 6 Janissary ghosts materialize, playing dice with their skulls. They bet gold teeth. You miss normal gambling dens. Your final pawn dissolves. In its place, a silver feather quill. The man pales first genuine emotion. "Burn it," he hisses. 14th century scribes wrote decrees with phoenix plumes. Temporary solutions. You snap the quill. It bleeds mercury. The board screams. Shadows erupt, dousing every lantern. Cold breath grazes your neck. Fingers fumble in dark, finding only wet cherrywood. When light returns, the man's gone. His side of the board holds a single piece, an inkwell shaped like Istanbul. It bubbles ominously. Raindrops slide down your spine, each whispering a different wager. The inkwell's bubble pops, a sound like a miniature cannon. Coffee sloshes over the board's edge, dissolving a rook into caramel sludge. Your pinky finger twitches, and the entire room twitches with it. Ottoman coffeehouses banned chess for 5 decades, officially for gambling, but really to stifle rebel planning. You're seeing why. A walnut cracks behind the counter. The barkeeper emerges, ink staining his knuckles blacker than his beard. His apron's embroidered with dancing teapots. One winks at you. Ottoman harems reportedly trained parrots to recite recipes. This feels trickier. He slams a copper tray between you and the board. 3 cups steam thick as molten amber. "Choose before they choose you," he growls. The left cup trembles like a startled sparrow. You remember Topkapi Palace's poison tasters. No job openings today. The centermost coffee swirls counterclockwise. Grounds form a tiny ship. Galley shape means betrayal, hisses the barkeeper. 16th century diviners read coffee sludge like star charts. Your stomach knots. That ship looks suspiciously Venetian. You reach for the rightmost cup. It frosts over. Ice feathers crawl up the porcelain. "Ah," the barkeeper smirks. Sultan Murad's ice houses stored snow leopard piss for cooling drinks. You retract your hand. Modern hygiene was a solid invention. Lightning forks through shuttered windows. For a heartbeat, you see the truth. The tray's not copper. It's petrified cherrywood with nail marks. Someone tried chewing their way out. A joke dies in your throat. The left cup leaps into your grip. Boiling liquid sears your palm. Too late, it's glued there. The barkeeper's laugh sounds like a snapped lute string. Smart choice. It chose you. Ottoman surgeons used coffee grounds to cauterize wounds. This'll scar. You sip. Flavors detonate: cardamom, crushed embers, and apricots. The board shudders. Your remaining pawns sprout woolly beards and start haggle dancing. Historians still argue whether coffee bans targeted chess or the gossip fueling revolutions. Both you decide. The barkeeper's shadow grows antlers. Now repay the favor. He flicks his wrist. Your coffee morphs into a hissing asp. You drop the cup. It shatters midair. Shards hover, reflecting 100 versions of your widened eyes. Silence swallows the room. Even the incense smoke freezes mid-curl. The barkeeper steps closer, his breath reeking of over-roasted beans. Cheat and lose more than gold. Your tongue tingles. Words spill unbidden. I didn't, liar. He spits into the largest shard. Your reflection ages 30 years, wrinkles carved like cuneiform. Coffeehouse rules, he snarls. 17th century Istanbul find liars their laughter. You're overdrawn. Your next chuckle comes out as a wet wheeze. The game board flips. Pieces scatter, ivory dice embed in the ceiling. Knights drown in coffee puddles. The cherrywood surface reforms into a perfect mirror. Your opponent's face stares back. Wait, your face. But with the barkeeper's ink-stained teeth, a shard pricks your ankle. Blood beads, black and glittering. Ottoman thieves drank squid ink to vomit confessions. You clamp your mouth shut. Too late. Words bubble up. I moved the scarab piece sideways. The room gasps in unison. The barkeeper snaps. The confession hardens into an obsidian rook. He pockets it. Good. Now we negotiate. His thumb brushes your wrist. Pulse points throb in Morse code. Danger, danger, danger. Wind howls through cracks. The coffee asp reforms, crowning your head like a living diadem. Its tongue flicks your earlobe. Upset the board, it whispers. But when you reach, the mirror surface blisters your fingertips. Lamplight shifts. You spot the escape, a warp in the cherrywood grain, barely fist width. Janissaries tattooed map lines between their knuckles. You trace the pattern, and the warp widens. The barkeeper bellows. Too late, you kick the board. It flies, shatters against a spice shelf. Cinnamon tsunamis. Cloves hail. The asp dissolves into whip smoke. Your lungs burn with liberation and cardamom. Run, hisses a voice from the debris. You obey. Behind you, the barkeeper's curses morph into coughing laughs. West of the Golden Horn, he croons. Ask for Husnu the Legless. Glass crunches underfoot as you bolt. Ottoman poets wrote odes to coffee grounds. You'll stick to tea. Smoke clings to your clothes like a jealous lover as you stagger into a moonlit courtyard. Your heel crunches a stray die, carved from what looks like mammoth ivory. 17th century coffeehouses hid gambling dens in abandoned caravanserais. This one's still occupied. 16 shadow figures hunch over a board the size of a war rug. Their pieces glow faintly. Like dying fireflies, a woman's specter points at your throat. Her finger passes through your skin and tugs the coffee stench from your lungs. Better, she rasps. Ottoman-era ghost stories warn of sin demons stealing breath. You're not religious, but your ribs feel lighter. The board blooms under your feet, each tile a cherrywood scarab. Spectral hands deal cards yellowed by centuries. You recognize the suit, Tugra script, zodiac beasts, and is that a laughing cauliflower? Ottoman divination decks got weird after the tulip craze. One card prickles your palm, a janissary gripping a backwards-facing flag. Historians still argue whether the elite troops actually marched into battle, reversed as a psychological tactic. You brace yourself and flip it. The courtyard whirls. When the dizziness fades, you're gripping a 17th century Dalama dagger, and 5 ghosts are mimicking your stance. Begin, croaks a voice. The first attacker lunges, you parry, but her blade dissolves into sand. Real sand pummels your face. Ottoman desert forces blinded enemies with hourglass timers. Your left eye screams. The second ghost offers a chalice. Liquid swirls, showing your reflection with a chess piece for a head. Drink or don't, he shrugs. 16th century ambassadors drank from cups enchanted with truth spells. You're tired of magic etiquettes. You fling it at the board. The chalice becomes a rook midair. Check. Phantom laughter rattles your teeth. A child's ghost tugs your sleeve, her hands sewn with glowing sutures. Play the Cappadocian defense, she whispers, but omit the 3-day truce. You've read about this, a short-lived treaty allowing chess matches to pause for Ramadan feasts. Your fingers move autonomously, swapping a pawn with a rose quartz bishop. The air crackles. Every ghost freezes mid-step, then bows. The board resets, queens and viziers now carved in your likeness. A 6-armed specter drops a scroll at your feet. The header reads HASAK, Izumrud, but the text squirms like centipedes. Seljuk, Turk shamans used living ink for cursed scrolls. You kick it into a brazier. The scream sounds suspiciously human. Dawn bleeds through crumbling arches. The ghosts fade, each leaving a token in their wake. A bone die, a spice jar, a lock of hair still twitching. Ottoman necromancers bound spirits to grooming trophies. You pocket the jar. Everything smells like cardamom and regret. As you exit, the Cherrywood board whispers in Old Turkish. Rough translation. Find the game played in Bayezid's latrine. You make a mental note to invest in antibacterial soap. The Janissary card burns in your pocket. Its reversed flag now points squarely at the golden horn. Your thumbnail aches where the spectral child scratched a map. Blood beads form the word HUSNU. Convenient. If you ignore the fact, it's spelled backward. Ottoman palindrome spells often masked demonic contracts. You walk faster. Behind you, dice rattle, as if counting your steps. Firelight dances across 22 remaining pieces. Your queen's crown, chipped from a coffeehouse brawl. 3 moves back. Your opponent, a man whose beard smells of burnt mastic resin, flicks a pawn sideways. The board exhales cinnamon-scented steam as the stone slab beneath you shudders. Ottoman tavern games often used aromatic woods to mask rigged dice. This feels personal. Checkmate isn't the end here. His laugh sounds like a creaking ship's hull. 16th century naval commanders played chess during sieges. Historians still argue whether they bet warships or just spices. You slide your rook, only to find its base fused to the board. A dendrochronology nerd once told you Cherrywood warps at midnight. You check the sundial, half past betrayal. The dice between you sprout legs. Literally, they skitter off the table, a gambler's nightmare from Seljuk folktales. You stab one with a dessert knife. It bleeds pomegranate syrup. An Ottoman vizier's chef invented blood pudding chess. Your rival muses lost his head, but the recipe survived. You're not hungry. Your remaining bishop glows like a lightning bug. It zooms to an illegal square, third tier, left of the Sultan's privy chamber. The carvings ripple, showing Crusader knights arm-wrestling Ottoman ghazis. A tile engraving winks, a monkey in a fez. Actual Simian gamblers roamed Topkapi Palace until they started stealing betrothal rings. Your pinky feels naked. The man flips the board, or gravity does. Pieces cling like bats. Reverse chess mandric, he declares, as if that explains the rook chewing your sleeve. You counter with a forgotten move, dropping your last coin onto the vizier's tile. 17th century, players bribed pieces to switch sides. The coin melts, and your borrowed bishop curtsies. 3 tiles away, smoke coils into a hookah-smoking tortoise. It croaks a rule change in Ladino, a language outlawed in 1605. You throw a date pit at its shell. It becomes a catapult. Genoese mercenaries taught us that, your opponent admits. The tortoise fires a backgammon stone, which knocks over your queen. Her marble head rolls into a rat hole. Wind howls through a crack in the wall, carrying a woman's whisper. Break the moon. You glance up through a dome painted with zodiac signs. 1 constellation's missing, the Sultan's favorite hound, erased after it peed on his war map. You lob a candlestick at the starless patch. The dome cracks, revealing a second Mamadira tax stamp. Of course, your rival freezes mid-gloat. His teeth unhinge and vomit a stream of cobalt beads. They form the word shamat, checkmate, in Ottoman Turkish, but backwards. Cursed pearls, he gurgles, always the pronouns. The remaining pieces explode into song, a lute-heavy ballad about maimed the conqueror's hemorrhoids. You stab the board with your dagger, but the blade sinks into a sudden pool of helva. Sticky, sweet, against all logic edible. A mosaic on the wall shifts, revealing a hidden alcove. Inside, a single ivory die balancing on a pyramid of goat cheese. You recognize the gambit, Bayezid the Thunderbolt's last meal, before vanishing into a chess-based sulk. The die topples, showing 3 pips arranged like the Bosphorus's currents, firelight gutters, plunging everything into a gloom that smells of wet tabby cat. Your opponent's chair scrapes backward, empty now, except for a sapphire hairpin. Suleiman, the magnificent sister, lost this in a wager. Then had the winner strangled with silk cords. You pocket it gingerly. The remaining pieces collapse into dust, except your rook. It winks, 1 corner splintered during the Helva incident. The board itself splits, revealing a lead box containing a single dried fig. Constantinople's defenders ate these during sieges, or so the tour guides claim. You peel it open, a scrap of vellum whispers, Play again. Distant roosters crow. Your rival's voice echoes from the fig. Checkmate is just the pause between games. Sunlight hits the lead box, which melts into the shape of a teardrop. Or a pawn. Same difference. Dawnlight stabs through warped shutters. Each slats shadow a prison bar across the reset board. Your fingers stick to the cherrywood, sap, or blood. Both. Ottoman coffeehouses opened at sunrise for Janissary officers' post-prayer games. This feels theological. The pieces gleam too bright, like dental tools. A whisper curls from the central tile. Bur feta, sacrifice. Your throat tightens. Suleiman's lutenists once composed a melody so mournful, every listener surrendered a possession to stop it. Your options: the sapphire hairpin, your left eye, or the memory of your first kiss. Historians still argue whether the Weeping Lute ballad caused 3 suicides or 4. You spit onto the board, a gambler's olden trick to rust dishonest metal. The spit gleams, becomes mercury. It swirls into Arabic numerals, 39, your age next Tuesday. The board inhales sharply. Across the room, a cat-sized coffee grinder erupts, spitting cardamom shells. Ottoman sultans allegedly hired professional coffee tasters to detect poison and bad bean blends. You scoop a handful. The shells spell dill, heart in Ottoman script. Yours pounds like a Nuremberg clock. The sapphire hairpin grows teeth. They nibble your palm, painless but unnerving. 16th century brides wore such pins to pierce cheating husbands' hands during vows. You stab it into the rook's slot. The wood screams. Silk cords burst from the walls, binding your ankles. Maimed Ii's viziers strangled each other with these after losing backgammon matches. You're oddly flattered. Dice clatter inside the grinder. They emerge fused, a 6-faced monstrosity showing only 3s. Triple the stakes, hisses the room itself. Your coffee cup refills with salt water. Levantan traders used weighted dice like this until Venetian merchants sewed them into rival captains' pillows. The board tilts, marble pieces slide into a crescent formation. Ottoman battle strategy, or a breadcrumb trail. You flick your last coin. It lands edge up a death omen in 7 Mediterranean cultures. The coin sings, sacrifice or be sacrificed, in a dialect even Google Translate won't touch. Wind rips through the shutters, bringing the stench of burnt mastic from last night's rival. His ghostly finger points at your earlobe. Slavery redemption laws in 1706 required freedmen to surrender an earring. But you're not that generous. You snap the hairpin. A blue spark zaps the board. A tile flips, revealing a miniature Bosphorus canal. 2 tiny warships fire cinnamon sticks. You drop a sugar cube, it sinks a galley. 17th century naval cadets trained with nutmeg grenades. The water boils and vomits up a key. The room dims. Candle smoke forms a hag's face. A memory, she croaks. Feed me a sweet one. You recall birthday pistachios in your father's orchard. The taste dissolves her. Your tongue bleeds iron. Morning prayers echo outside, real or recorded. The muezzin's final note cracks the board down the middle. Inside, a scroll sealed with drop wax. You break it. Ink flows up your arm like ivy. Ottoman divorce decrees used similar ink, reactive to lies. Your skin hums with unspoken truths. The sapphire hairpin reappears, now a serpent digesting its tail. Byzantine gamblers wore such rings to cheat mortality. You slam it onto the scroll. Words rearrange. Dawn's price is the night's echo. Cryptic, but so was your ex. Shutters bang wide. Sunlight incinerates the board. Ash swirls into a dervish, then settles as a fresh set of pieces. One queen wears your face, the other that barista from Galata. Your hand moves without consent, plucking a hair. It becomes a lute string. The board sings again, this time in Vivaldi's Spring. An Ottoman envoy stole the score in 1725. He thought it described tulip patterns. You hum along, the sapphire ring frosts your finger. First move, pawn to oblivion. The piece bows and explodes into henna dust. Your vision blurs red. Second move, knight to where the helva puddle once simmered. Hoof steps echo, followed by a wet crunch. The room exhales. Your rival's voice murmurs from the ashes. Checkmate was never the point. A shutter slams, sunrise glares through a crescent-shaped hole. You pocket the cold ring and step into streets smelling of fresh cimet and older sins. The game continues, but only your shadow knows where. Your shadow stretches long, crooked fingers, smearing across Galata's morning bustle. Cimet vendors hawk sesame rings, their doughy scent clashing with alleyway piss. The sapphire ring's absence weighs, a phantom chill gnawing your pinky. 17th century jewelers stamped silver with iron flecks to repel curses. But this cold sticks deeper. Echoes ricochet in your skull, wooden clicks, cinnamon smoke, that wet snap when the night piece fell. You wipe your palm. Henna dust still blooms like a bruise. Levantan sailors once inked backgammon boards onto sheepskin, turning games into navigational charts. Your footsteps trace their ghostly zigzags. A laugh shivers your neck, high and reedy, like a lute string snapping. You spin, find only a toothless crone hawking leeches. For love potions, she croaks, rattling her jar. Ottoman physicians prescribed leeches soaked in rosewater for heartache. Yours needs stronger medicine. The street narrows, walls press closer. Cherrywood panels warping under your touch. Carvings writhe. A bishop's mitre becomes a ship's prow. Historians still argue whether the Sultan's navy covertly funded coffeehouse games to recruit strategists. You trace a pawn's outline it bites. Your shadow detaches, slithers ahead to a dead-end courtyard. A dry fountain crowns the center, its basin choked with dice. 6-sided, 12-sided, one shaped like a skull. Venetian gamblers buried dice with dead champions to steal luck. You pocket the skull. Mistake. It vibrates, hums a distorted spring melody. The sapphire ring materializes midair frost crusting its band. Byzantine royalty drank from mugs lined with mercury, believing it clarified deceit. You swat it, the ring dissolves into magpie feathers. A chimney sweep brushes past, his soot-streaked face familiar. The barkeeper's ink-stained hands. No, older. His ladder leans against nothing, yet he climbs. 18th century street. Performers pantomimed trades to mock Ottoman tax laws. You mimic his ascent, boots scuffing brick. The air thickens, incense and wet wool. A rooftop tavern materializes, patrons frozen mid-laugh. Their chessboards glow pieces carved from lapis and dried apricot. You reach for a queen, she liquefies. Sticky syrup pools between floor tiles. The sweep whispers. 64 moves to unmake a soul. His broom handle cracks open, a scroll tumbles out. Coffee grounds predict 3 futures, it reads, but only liars see the 4th. You sniff the paper, cardamom and forged ledgers. A child's marble rolls by, honeyed light trapped inside. You kick it. The courtyard shatters like a glaze. Back on street level, a water seller offers a copper cup. Rain from Topkapi's drains, special price. The great mosque's roof really did channel rainwater into Sultan's bathhouses. You decline. His shrug rattles the cups, a perfect C minor chord. The ring's frost creeps up your wrist. You duck into a scribe's stall. Parchment layers blur into a miniature battlefield. Inked Janissaries clash with pawns, their swords hyphenated like butcher bills. A drop of your sweat smudges the ink. Soldiers melt into love poems. Careful, mutters the scribe, though he's centuries dead, mummified. Words here bleed backward. 6 Ottoman calligraphers were executed for mirror writing treasonous gossip. You blot the page with your sleeve. It seethes like a tea kettle. Sunlight stabs through awnings. The stall dissolves. Your shadow's back, now leading uphill. At the summit, a defaced marble plaque. Yusuf the Unlucky, a 19-year-old martyr of the bean tax riots. You press your palm to the stone, it warms. The phantom laugh again behind you. Inside, shop signs sway, their chains creak the same pitch. Hagia Sophia's architects tuned its chandelier chains to repel earthquakes. Your molars ache. Dusk bleeds prematurely across rooftops, streets morphing into the coffeehouse's chessboard floor. A pawn blocks your path, its face yours at age 8. Sacrifice in 3 moves, it lisps. Ottoman child spies were trained using edible game pieces, sweet victories, bitter losses. You step around it. Cobblestones squirm like larvae. A night watchman's lantern bobs ahead, its flame cupped in a glass raven. Lost dreamer, he asks, though his mouth doesn't move. The raven squawks tavern specials in Greek. You follow anyway. The lantern light refracts, revealing walls papered with bet slips. Faded ink stains form a face, the silver-haired gambler from the board. His jaw unhinges, smoke pours out. 1709 Istanbul suffered a great haze that choked scores of overconfident asthmatics. You inhale, taste bergamot, and regret number 5. The echo requires a listener, booms the smoke. Your shadow peels away again, ink blotting the nearest alley. Melting into the dark, it leaves behind the sapphire ring. It pulses now, a heartbeat trapped in cobalt. You crouch, recoil. The ring's band swirls with microscript. Every dill is a board, translation optional. Your own pulse sinks, faster, slower, stopping. The street stalls freeze, a simmet midair. When time lurches back, the ring's gone, replaced by blisters spelling FATIH on your palm. Maimed the conqueror's troops brandished such marks, or so street myths claim. A donkey brays, laughter trailing into the spice market's maze. Your shadow waits at the docks, watching gulls tear at a fish head. The skull die burns your pocket, whispers numbers in Armenian. Flip it, a 16th century dialect of bankrupt. You hurl it into the golden horn. The splash echoes, then folds into a woman's chuckle. Salt wind carries whispers. 64 moves, 64 years, 64 lies to unspool. You count the boats, always one short. Historians still argue whether Ottoman admirals rigged ship tallies to hide smuggling losses. Your pinky throbs, the rings, frostbite eternal now. Lanterns flicker on each flame reflected in the oily water. You could board a ferry or become one more reflection. The phantom laugh curls like a question mark, unanswered. The game continues, but your next move tastes of iodine and stolen sheet music. Smoke stings your eyes before you see the flames, amber tongues devouring the coffeehouse roof. Heat peels paint from surrounding shops, their wooden beams hissing like betrayed lovers. 16th century authorities banned these dens thrice for fermenting rebellion. They always resurrected stronger. You press a palm to your chest. The sapphire ring's ghost still pulses. The dice in your pocket clinks, its skull-carved face now warm. Ottoman widows once stirred hearth ashes into tea to taste a husband's final lie. You crouch, gritty soot coats your tongue anyway. A timber crashes, embers spiral upward like inverted snow. Shouts erupt as the neighboring spice cellar hurls saffron water, 99 gold threads dissolving into steam. For the insurance, he wails. Historians still argue whether the Great Fire of 1660 started in a bakery or a backgammon feud. You inhale charcoal and memory. The smoke twists, forming a crowned figure with apricot orange eyes. Its scepter points to your pocket. The die vibrates. 17th century Janissaries carried dice made from enemy bones. But this one hums your childhood lullaby. You flick it onto the cobblestones. It lands with a metallic clink. 6 pips. No, a mirrored 6. Double or ashes, rasps the Smoke King. His voice grates like a rusted musket reloading. You remember the scribe's warning words, here bleed backward. Your shadow stretches toward the die, elongating into a palace guard's silhouette. A windstorm of burning parchments engulfs the street, each fragment a bet slip. 3-1 odds on the Sultan's headache. One reads another. 20 camels against tomorrow's dawn. You swat them, your sleeve catches fire. Roll left, dirt smothers the flames. Ottoman silk traders soaked fabrics in sheep urine for flame resistance. Works better than advertised. The smoke crown collapses, reforming as a swaying ladder. That chimney sweep perches atop, scrubbing flames with a soot-blackened broom. 64 years before the next reshuffle, he chants, drops a singed scroll at your feet. Coffeehouse rule XV. All debts burn, except those writ in bone. Lightning cracks the sky, rain slams down with biblical fury. Fire hisses into steam, revealing the gutted shell. Patrons materialize, transparent fingers still clutching ghostly cups. Their laughter's muted, like a seashell pressed to your ear. A cold hand grips your shoulder. The silver-haired gambler's specter leans close. Finishing a game requires 2 players or 1 good cheater. His breath smells of overbrewed time tea. You spin, he dissolves into drizzle, leaving a sapphire pendant in your palm. The die sprouts spider legs, scurrying into the pendant's setting. Ottomans believed gemstones swallowed bad luck if dipped in horse milk first. Too late now. You press the pendant to the ruins. Wet ash swallows it whole. Dawn bleeds through smoke, revealing the street intact. No flames, no steam, just a soggy cement cart. The vendor yawns his rack, holding 63 pastries. Historians still argue whether Sultan Suleiman's spies coded messages in bread quantities. You buy one, it crumbles into cherrywood shavings. The chimney sweeps laugh echoes, then fades into gull cries. Your shadow walks ahead, no longer detaching. The skull die's weight vanishes from your pocket, replaced by a scab shaped like a rook piece. Stray cats converge, licking ashen puddles with vicious focus. Ottoman feline colonies supposedly predicted grain shortages by howling at tax collectors. These ones just glare their eyes, reflecting tiny burning boards. You toss the cement shreds. They scatter like failed strategies. Rain stops. The pendant's chain snakes around your wrist, cold yet comforting. Somewhere, a lute plucks a victory march in the wrong key. You turn south. Galata Bridge creaks underfoot, its planks whispering endless rematches. One boat remains docked, its hull charred, name illegible. A captain tips his hat, palm scarred with that same FATIH blister. Maimed, the conqueror's troops burned their ships to cement the Istanbul siege. You step aboard, no need for coins. The die clinks once below decks, then silence. Wind fills the sails, or maybe it's the ghosts exhaling. Water laps against charred wood, a rhythm older than backgammon, older than empires. Your shadow stretches toward the horizon, no longer yours alone. The coffeehouse's legacy, still smoldering, still thirsty. You hum the spring melody, capo on the 5th fret. Let future historians parse the ashes. Your next game's already begun. A rook's shadow falls across the deck, but that's a tale for sharper ears. Smoke swims in your eyes as amber whispers curl above the coffeehouse, gentler now, like a hearth's last sigh. Heat fades to warmth. Paint no longer peels, just cracks like old parchment. 16th century dust settles between the cobblestones, alive with stories even flames couldn't swallow. Your palm rests lighter, a sapphire cool stillness where the ring once burned. The dice quiets in your pocket, its carved skull softened to river-smooth bone. You breathe slowly, soot becomes mist. Ash turns to dew on your lips. Embers dim to fireflies, swirling upward as the spice seller's laughter drifts from another alley. 99 golden threads of saffron now sleep in the mud, dreaming of dawn. You exhale. Charred air sweetens to cherrywood and rain-wet soil. The smoke king unravels, crown melting into cloud. Scepter, a wisp of pine resin. Your shadow kneels beside the die, no longer a guard, just a companion. Mirrored sixes flicker, then dim to mere wood grain. Rest, murmurs the wind, and the game unravels like yarn from a weaver's spindle. Burning parchments settle as moth-wing confetti, their bets gentle as fallen leaves. 3-1 odds on sunrise. One flutters. You let it nest in your palm. Fire retreats from your sleeve, leaving only the scent of sun-dried linen. You rise, steady, the ground firm beneath you. Rain thins to drizzle. Crowning the chimney sweeps broom in liquid silver. His singed scroll blooms moss green at the edges, ink swimming into new shapes. Rule XV rewritten. All debts float, carried by river, dissolved by time. Lightning yawns, thunder becomes the rumble of a distant cart. The gambler's specter lingers as morning light, translucent, his time-scented breath dissolving into birdsong. The sapphire pendant rests cool against your throat, its spider-legged die now dormant. Ottomans whispered of gemstones grieving, but this one hums a lullaby, even the rain obeys. Dawn lifts the street's veil, simmet cart whole, vendor humming a sailor's shanty. 63 pastries glisten, one crumbles in your hand, cherrywood becomes honeycomb. You taste sweetness, not ash. The chimney sweeps laugh ripples through puddles, becoming seagulls skimming the harbor. Cats blink slowly, their eyes holding ember glows softened to candlelight. They purr, a low thrum of contentment, as you scatter simmet, crumbs like forgotten chess pieces. The pendant's chain coils loose around your wrist. Cool metal warming to skin temperature. Galata bridge sighs beneath your steps, whispers fading into the creak of oars. The charred boat rocks, its captain's scarred palm now cradling a sparrow. Maime's ghost smile lingers in the rigging sails, billowing with the breath of 1,000 unspoken games. Water laps rhythmic, older than strategy, older than regret. Your shadow walks beside you, no longer stretching, simply being. The horizon blurs muted gold, a lute's final note, the hush before a pawn becomes a queen. Sleep cradles the coffeehouse's embers. Tomorrow's game waits in the pocket of dawn's first yawn. You hum capo on the 5th fret, a rook's shadow merging with the mast. Let the ashes rest till your breath sinks, with the tide slow, softer, quiet.